Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. A good bit of beef going down over the last 24 hours or so with Scrappy and Octane going at it. Scrappy also with a few comments of TJHaLy, which are pretty spicy indeed, but Octane saying, look, this Scrappy guy, for all you talk trash and all this stuff, make the grand finals of a world championship and actually try to win a map this time. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Bit of Rabception here, but I did want to mention it because FaZe Conviews did kind of adjust their, well not adjust their analysis, but they explained a little bit further what the numbers were for terminal hardpoint here. So terminal hardpoint, 89% of the kills on that map mode combination are from the MCW, and I mentioned yesterday, whatever it was, that probably a lot of the rival kills are from Hook. Now, the rival only accounts for 4.4% of kills on terminal hardpoint. Pretty absurd. And I was thinking, what are the rest? Like, I'm guessing the rest are pistol kills, right? Or nade kills, I guess, actually. So yeah, nade kills, pistol kills, probably account for the rest of them. But yeah, the rival is, what, 1/20th-ish of the kills that you get with the MCW on the map, and Hook accounts for the majority of those. And this is another way to look at it in terms of which teams use the MCW the most. Now, this also will depend to some degree on what map mode combinations they like to play, because if these teams play a lot of terminal hardpoints, they will use a lot of MCWs. If teams that tend to avoid terminal hardpoints, they will use less of it, such as maybe OpTic, for example. They like playing a lot of Karachi and stuff like this, OpTic, so you're probably going to see more MCWs or Skid Row, stuff like this, really. But these are still the percentages. So Boston, 75%, I'm guessing this is just of their kills, are from the MCW. That's it's pretty absurd, really, in terms of numbers. OpTic have the lowest at 60%. So the variation is between 60 and 75. Some are pretty middle of the pack here, about 68, 69%. That's probably a roughly middle. But yeah, Toronto higher than average, Thieves higher than average, Legion higher than average, and then you get Subliners, Surge, and OpTic. You gotta think it's surprising, right, that Seattle Surge, for all the talk about their roster being an AR-focused team, which I think it very much is. I mean, aBeZy, Arcetes, Hook, and aBeZy. Like, you know, I would have thought that Surge would be pretty much at the top of this list, but they're not. They're actually second bottom, with only 61% of kills coming from the MCW, which is kind of interesting, probably just because Hook runs it all the time, whereas on the other teams, that all runs the rival all the time, whereas on the other teams, even their SMGs quite often will change it around a little bit. There was also this that Scythe pointed out I thought was kind of cool, actually, because we've said for the last few days, what about these Warzone guys? Are they going to try and make the transition? Because if you're Biffle, sure, you're doing well in the Warzone side, making money, but is that, you know, is that the point you want to get to in your career? Is that like the highest level? In the same way that if you're like, I don't know, a long drive champion in golf or something, you might think, well, you know, do I just want to be the long drive guy, or do I actually want to try and take these skills and, you know, make it work on the PJ Tour or whatever, right? Because I think there's some guys that have, you know, successfully made that transition, and it's, okay, very different combinations, skills, whatever. But you know what I mean? It's like, that's not necessarily the peak of your sport, so you might want to consider making the move. So Biffle, Aiden, Repulse, these other guys were running some 3v3 hardpoints, so nothing too much in this, but I thought it was interesting just because we've said, look, and even teams have this themselves, apparently, what Stocksman got from these teams was basically like, look, we would consider Biffle if he played challenges and if he was actually any good. While I would not be opposed to Biffle getting signed by a team if he was to be signed, I would definitely agree with the teams that we've got to see Biffle play some challenges, right? Because otherwise you just simply don't know. So, okay, that's one part, but even just playing some hardpoints 6s or 8s or whatever is a bit of a step. And to be fair, in all of these games that they play, Biffle's team won. I mean, just to put a scoreboard up, for example, here, this is one of them. And okay, you know, the strength of the competition, all this type of stuff, but just the fact that these guys were playing in these, you know, in these CDL map mode combinations, I thought was at least worthy of note. We did mention aBeZy a second ago with regard to the Seattle Surge stuff. He did actually tweet this out yesterday that he was on stream. I don't know if there was any clips in this stream whether he mentioned anything to do with the whole tactical sprint allegation drama, but yeah, a couple of days ago we heard that Scrappy had apparently sent in, or I think it was Scrappy anyway, sent in some proof that Octane thought was undeniable proof that aBeZy was using single tap sprint or whatever. So okay, technically not ATS, but it's the same kind of deal, and we don't exactly know yet what the repercussions might potentially be for this, but you know, aBeZy's not come out and denied it, has he? So maybe on this one the silence is somewhat deafening, but Scrappy also, as expected, is getting into some beef elsewhere as well. So Scrappy and TJ and Octane, they've been getting into it over the last few days, and it's been obviously rather entertaining, as it usually is. Especially the Octane versus Scrappy stuff. There was also like a, you know, TJHaLy versus Scrappy, because Scrappy was making the point that Octane back in his day when he was winning championships, he didn't have the same competition in the finals. Scrap's got to beat FaZe. Octane was winning champs against or winning chips against TJHaLy, which maybe there's some truth to that, but obviously Octane was also around not that long ago either. And sure, Toronto last year had a better season on the whole than the Los Angeles Thieves did, but at least Octane's a world champion, right? And he beat FaZe to do it back in the Vanguard season, of course. Now TJ comes back and says Scrap would never take me down in a final, and well, Scrappy isn't so convinced on that one. And of course, you can also argue that Scrappy a lot of the time nowadays he's beefing with TJ, he's beefing with Clayster, these types of guys that either aren't in the league or are on bad teams in the league. So I wouldn't say Scrappy's exactly punching down, but he's not really talking trash against some of the FaZe guys, or a little bit against Shotzzy, to be fair. And I don't really think Scrappy minds who he talks trash to, but lately the people he's beefing with are either out of the league, retired, or in challenges. So he kind of gets a free dub, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to worry about getting slammed by them in the champs finals, theoretically. Whereas if he starts beefing with the Bulldog again, then, I'll be there for that. So speaking of that, Scrappy versus Kismet beef in the grand finals of the World Championship. Octane, of course, understandably roasting him for getting sound at that point. And actually, I hadn't heard this explanation from Scrappy before, but he goes on to give what may be a reasonable excuse, may not be a reasonable excuse for why they got 5-0, absolutely a mega sound at the grand finals. Scrappy reckons, because he had a 0.7, didn't he, or something in the grand finals of champs, like, he kind of got humbled by the Bulldog, whatever the case is, and wasn't the final kill of the grand finals Kismet on Scrappy as well, so it was kind of poetic in many ways. But Scrappy reckons that his PC got changed out before the grand finals, and therefore he got like a dud PC, and therefore he was getting slammed. So yeah, I don't know, excuses or any validity behind this.
Yeah, I was just too busy winning a tournament every year before that. Hundreds of thousands
just
of dollars,
winning one,
multiple
just winning
MVPs.
one, and then just
I
leaving.
10 tournaments.
Winning one, and then he was like, I'm not trying anymore for this
How many
season.
do you have? How many do you have?
One.
You have one. Oh, you need to add
One.
another digit to that to even come close to me. That's.
Yeah.
You need a lot of digits. You need a lot of digits in the earnings too.
You're playing Thieves for chips.
Playing Tej for chips? Tej would destroy you in a final, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Tej would actually sun you bad, I think.
No, he wouldn't. I'd literally slam that fat ass.
Think so?
Yes. That's literally my son.
Oh, we have all the people you could have picked, by the way. You went with Tej. That's.
Who am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. I played some shitters in finals.
Like you played Scump, dude. Like.
Yeah. I did.
You gotta go
that
Tej.
bitch. I played against the greatest Call of Duty team of all time.
I did too, and I retired him. He left the next tournament, so.
Yeah, that was fake, honestly. that wasn't the real one. Yeah. Porter was racing at that point. You better win this year. Holy, you actually have godlike teams you've done nothing with. Holy.
What?
You went. Oh, you got 5-0 in the COD Champs Grand Final.
They took my PC off.
No bullshit. I might be able to close my eyes and get a map in finals.
I'm gonna say it because now that they took my
That's
PC off. Like, why are they taking the PCs off the setups and then putting them back on? Just leave them.
I mean, bro, I could have got one with my toes. No bullshit. 5-0?
No, you couldn't.
That's insane, dog.
Bro,
you couldn't get one.
Dude, man, I was on a PS5. I literally played on a PS5.
I could have played on an Atari and got one. I don't know what you're doing.
Bro, they want to take the PCs and switch them off for the challengers, bro. Like, different type of.
Yeah, they haven't won a map in finals yet, so we need to.
Yeah. Oh my God. See, like.
Yeah, you know what that's like. You know.
See, that looks kind of familiar.
Yep.
What?
Not winning a map in finals.
Aw, man, come on. You don't need to talk about that right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta move past that. You gotta move
It's all good,
past
bro.
that.
It's all good. It's coming. It's coming.
It'll come, bro. It'll come.
So I don't think Scrappy's really going to be able to live down that Champs Grand Finals anytime soon, to be honest. It's always going to be a talking point. But to be fair, like, obviously Octane made the comments, you've had all these godlike teams, you're not won much. And, you know, you can make that comment both ways in a way. Like, until, you know, Octane was considered for some time to be the best player, never to have won a ring. At least he was in the conversation, like himself and Kenny and Enable and Zoom and these other guys. Even Saints Nato, I think, is a good example of that, who was a great player for many years, never quite got the championship ring. And Octane and Kenny eventually did, of course. So, you know, congratulations to them. But there was a talking point, really, that Octane hadn't maybe achieved as much as his talent, you know, suggested that he should have done, especially after those 2 years on the Seattle Surge that didn't go particularly well. And then as soon as he leaves Surge, goes on to Thieves, wins the World Championship the next year in the Vanguard season, right? So Scrappy is going to have more opportunities to win the World Championship. And for all that Octane said, you know, you've had all these great teams, haven't won much, Scrappy did win Major 3 last year. So, you know, gotta say that he did win a grand finals. He did win an event, of course. It was in front of the OpTic crowd at Major 3 last year when they played OpTic in the grand finals. But it is one thing to win an event of that nature, and then it's another thing, of course, to get a world championship victory as well. And Octane, you know, he did make a Champs Grand Finals back in Black Ops 4 2019, lost that one to United as it was at the time. That was the Simp, aBeZy, Clayster, Arcetes, Priestahh team that, you know, of course, Octane lost to when it was on 100 Thieves back then. So, you know, he's seen Grand Final defeats before. He eventually got the victory. I don't think that last year's one will be Scrappy's last championship Grand Final, but, you know, whether he can win the next one or whatever, whether that's going to be on Toronto as well, because it's possible this season. Toronto on paper look really nice, but this is the thing. Basically, every single season, every team on paper looks, at least some of them look kind of nice. Some of them look pretty trash, to be fair. But especially looking back on some of these teams that you see formed in previous years, like what was going on there. And I think that same, you know, that could also probably apply to this season as well. But Toronto, there's no doubt, on paper and in reality, you know, they should be good. I think they have been pretty good. But yeah, it's just that series against Boston that was really raised the question. So just to kind of look at this quickly, this is Toronto's run from now until the major. They've played so far. They obviously beat Gorillas, they beat Ravens, they lost to Boston. So it's not like they've played anyone particularly good yet. Gorillas, that was a reasonably impressive series given the fact that Gorillas actually look okay at the moment, if not really rather decent. And it was quite a comfortable victory for Toronto, but it was also the first series I believe they played. So, you know, very early days at that point, kind of anything can happen. From now on, though, they play Surge, which is a team they should beat, but not exactly a walkover. Thieves, we don't really know. I don't think Thieves are that good at the moment, but and things might have, well, we don't know if things have got better or worse behind the scenes. If things have got worse for Thieves behind the scenes, they're chalked. If things have got better, they might be okay. Then Subliners, though, that's going to be a serious test. Of course, that's going to be, you know, Scrappy versus Kismet again, and then they play Vegas. So you've got to think at least 2 victories in here, which would put them at 4 wins. That would get them through to the winners bracket of the major, no problem at all. But there will be some interesting battles. Just a couple of things to close out the video with here. Thought this is pretty cool from Brian Stats. Winningest league match players in COD history. So this is just league match related stuff, of course. We have lots of that going on nowadays. But understandably, these are the top players. Pretty much, it's just the OpTic dynasty with Karma a little bit further down, understandably. But Krim has over 300 victories, 303, 125. Scump is not too dissimilar. Formal is not too dissimilar. Then you've got Clay right up here. Attach, you know, Slasher is tied for top 5 actually with 233 league match victories, and this is the top kind of 10, top 15, and maybe understandably, barely any of the players currently competing, only Clay, Attach, Slasher, and okay, Classic is a substitute, right, for Atlanta FaZe. Everyone else is retired, because there just aren't that many games played nowadays. Even Simp, for example, Simp aBeZy, they but, you know, they've only got 99 league match victories, because back in the day, like, you know, Ghost, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, like, especially, you know, BO3, Infinite Warfare, World War 2, stuff like this, loads of league matches that were played during the season, so those guys have loads of victories. But yeah, Simp, okay, they've only won 99 series. It's quite a lot, and that is the highest percentage league matches ever, with Cellium up there above Krim, and then Shotzzy isn't too far behind either, actually with the same percentage as Scump, which is kind of fascinating. But speaking of Shotzzy, we did put out the latest episode of Shotzzy Faded Moments. Basically, it starts off 100 IQ or, like, you know, average IQ, and then it descends into absolute madness by the end of it. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. You guys can check that out on the Breaking Point channel as well. Just go GG Breaking Point YouTube or Shotzzy Faded. You'll find it on the YouTube search. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Nah, the whole Vegas thing with the graphic was hilarious, because we were just scrimming like early on in the game, and they tweeted out our team. Like, they announced the roster, and we're like, what the? They announced the roster, and we all saw it. We lost full. It's like the AI bullshit, but no one knew in the Vegas org. The GM didn't know. Our coaches didn't know. No one knew that they were tweeting it. The only guy that did it was just the social media manager. We didn't know that was getting tweeted or anything. The social media manager literally went rogue and just announced it. And I think it was because someone like 10 minutes before that was like, yo, we don't care about what you're tweeting. Announce your roster. 10 minutes later, they announced the roster with the AI shit. No one in the organization knew except for that one social media guy. Bro, it was the craziest thing ever. I was checked when I saw that. I was like, bro, why the f do I have earrings? I've never had earrings a day in my life. That shit was hilarious.